There's 300,000 to 400,000 horses running wild in these areas.
Horses have now escaped. They're jumping the fence, they're going into the neighbour's property. We lost 700 head of camels out of one of the paddocks here.
A broken fence does mean a lot of lost revenue.
Nobody's ever gone to such a remote location, captured a 10-year-old wild stallion and decided, hey, let's see if we can tame it. A call from Ian Conway has brought me to the red centre of Australia for a challenge that I don't know if I can accomplish. Now it's showtime, mate. What the f*** is going on?
Downunder Horsemanship's Australian Outback adventure is brought to you by Ritchie Industries. Fresh water for life.
I'm Clinton Anderson, and I have a method for training horses. Getting horses to behave is simple. It's training people that's the real trick. Join me as I tackle some of the most challenging situations with problem horses and with problem owners.
As you're facing me, you're looking over the top of those ranges there. Beyond that range is estimated at 10,000 head of brumbies running wild in that area at this time.
It wasn't until I got there in the middle of the outback with Ian and he took me out and showed me the damage that's being caused to the properties, the fences, the pastures, etc. To where it wasn't until that happened that things really started to sink in for me. Ian was not exaggerating when he spoke to me on the phone about how this stallion and the horses are causing a lot of problems. It was exactly what it was.
The horse that we're trying to catch is a really bad Brumby. And all my men that work with me have had a lot of problems trying to get that horse back into the yards. He's been a bugger of a horse. He's actually been crippling a lot of our horses out in that area, and we just wanted to try and get him back in there. Okay, fellas, Clinton has come from America to give us a hand here to catch this Brumby that we've been chasing. So I'll introduce you all to him to begin with. We've got Anselm on your side there, I'm on the left. We've got David on your right.
David, good to meet you.
We've got Chris Pollitt on the behind him.
Chris, good to meet you.
Chris is actually a doctor, he's a vet, yep. and this is Edric.
Edric, good to meet you, mate.
Yeah. So, fellas, I got in front of us here now. This is a map that was drawn by an old man and a partner of his in the years gone by, but it was also assisted by a lot of old Aboriginal men as well, so right. that they were Aboriginal stockmen that named all this country. It will be all over this country. It covers a total area of about 5,000 square kilometres.
Okay. I don't think people realise kind of how remote where we went to do this is. Like, people talk about the outback, okay? This is like the outback. Like it makes the regular outback look like civilization.
When you look at it in tribal areas, this is an area that is owned by Hedrick's family. Mm-hmm. It's called Urumbinyi. Then you look at Anselm's family that owns all this region around here, which goes into from Marini back to Warraka in this area here. And so that's the area that we'll be covering. But we'll be setting up yards in certain areas. The country itself consists of big valleys, deep valleys, red rock, big gum creeks, and it's very hard country to get into on horses or anything like that when you're chasing horses. But the Brumbies know every inch of this country.
So they've got the advantage on us.
They've got the advantage on us the whole way.
It wasn't the first time Ian had tried to capture this horse. So there was no room for error on this situation because he was getting smarter and smarter about not being caught.
We've got two mustering helicopters coming in with very, very professional pilots. They're cowboys in the air. On the ground, we'll have our stockmen who will be riding motorcycles and driving vehicles.
We had the helicopters, we had the bull catchers, we had me on horseback, we had the rangers, we had motorbikes, we had the full barrage of equipment and personnel.
We thought we'd start on this end, down on it's the actual western end of all these ranges.
This is a mountain range here, and that's a mountain range there.
Yep.
So the valley is what we're going to drive him down.
That's right. Actually, that was where he was last seen.
Okay.
So that's where we're going to have to concentrate on at this stage. But what we'll do is we'll go to Marini first, and we'll set up what we call portable yards. You know what they're like, what portable yards are. They're transportable yards that are clipped together.
Yes.
And then we'll put in some wings. It's like a funnel. And we funnel them in on that into the yards where we hope to be able to close the gates right behind them. Our main aim is to find this Brumby and to run whatever other Brumbies there are in that area into those yards.
What are the biggest points that you can give me tips, because I've never done this before to this extent?
It's very fast. It's probably the fastest thing that you'll do on ground on this sort of rough terrain.
Right.
There's a possibility of getting hurt, so you've got to be very careful that whatever you do, you think about what you're doing the whole time.
I would like to think we've got a fighting chance of getting him. I'm always looking for ways to challenge myself as a horseman. I'm always looking for ways to challenge the method. There's no better way to challenge it than with a wild stallion that's never been captured before, that lives out in the middle of Australia in the rankest part of the country, and run him in and capture him and train him with the method.
Yeah, well, David will be a driver of a bull catcher. I will be one. Anselm will be riding a motorcycle. Edric will be riding a quad.
Yeah.
And if there's any problems with any of the stock, we've got our veterinarian here the whole time to be able to look after those things.
Okay, great. Good plan. Let's get started.
Okay.
Create the ultimate training conditions with the Clinton Anderson Signature Series from Balin Country. The Patience Pole, conceived and designed by Clinton to teach patience and respect while protecting both horse and handler. Made with an industrial-grade bearing that never requires lubrication, the poles are attractive and require virtually no upkeep. Get the Clinton Anderson Signature Series from Balin Country. There is no other like it.
I grew up around a lot of horses, cattle, camels, back at my home, and we've done a lot of work with them through the years. But we go out on musters when we need to, for money or to get rid of livestock.
A muster is a farmer will call us and he'll have stock either in the open range or in a paddock, and it's our job to move those stock, either put them into a yard or move them from paddock to paddock. Sometimes it's just a question of moving them from water to water. We have 9 helicopters in total, and we keep 2 mustering machines. It's a specialty that we do, so we find if we keep 2 good guys in 2 good machines, we look after that part of the industry quite well here. The use of helicopters has become quite widespread in Australia. It's cost effective, it's easier than paying multiple people on the ground, and we're in and out, and we go and do the job and then we go home. The machinery around us represents quite a large investment for us. Behind us we have the Robinson R44. We don't generally use an aircraft that size for mustering, but the R-22s, their baby brother, dominates the industry these days, mainly because of its fuel efficiency. They're very sensitive, they're very manoeuvrable. They're a great helicopter for this type of operation. I don't think Robinson ever thought they'd be used for this. But you know, they're ideally suited. They represent about a $300,000 outlay for us. They have a 2,200-hour life, so it's very important to us that they make money while they're flying. And we keep the wear and tear down. This environment out here is very demanding on these choppers.
You know, before we could go find the wild brumbies, we had to do some scouting out. We had to do that from a helicopter, and I also did it on the ground as well from horseback. Riding across those big ranges on that horse and out in the middle of the country was just beautiful. The red ranges, the cliffs, the valleys where the horses are, just absolutely beautiful. And the horse I was riding, he was a wild brumby himself. In fact, just 40 days earlier than when I rode him, he was a wild brumby himself. So 40 days of training, I was on him, capturing other wild brumbies on him. So that was kind of fun and exciting too. But, you know, coming to the Outback here is just the most beautiful country you're ever going to see.
We've got a mustering group, and I guess we carry out 6 to 10 musters a year. And the majority of those musters are on Aboriginal land.
Me and my family's land is all along through here, and we've been mustering on it through Tentel and Rini, and way back through Wadarka.
Like nang timbi jel pijagal kokang lardo ayo na almen je worka ga nan danga mala ko saran no ne ko len worker je mena.
Ian and I work together to do those musters, mainly to teach the Aboriginal men how to catch the cattle and the camels and the horses that are on their land, and then how to go through the process of yarding them and getting them quiet, getting them on trucks, and then finding a market to finally sell them.
Kokong jel ko ra ai laga den master mel malanga nan prambi mapan anan bab ngor nam arma truck melag bat ninga got nim preta berlanam nan mapot.
Over the last few years, we've probably taken maybe 1,000 horses a year off the country around us, and we would take maybe 6 to 10 saddle horses each year out of those. So we normally just pick the nicer horses of the group, and we break those horses in with the Aboriginal men to teach them how to break a horse, and then they'll take that horse back away with them to their community.
Every time nanuna ganjana mangun picture me go nang something work mastering go by jak if alba ganjana mang like angalan slemen book work era mang alba nun dangam nun lemal angalan almelam.
When we are trapping feral animals which are living on open waters, well, then we have to transport everything out. We have to take our yards out, we have to take our vehicles out, we have to sometimes grade roads into the region where we're going to trap them. So it's quite a big movement of human beings and machinery to get them out. So we take a trailer in with all the panels on, the portable yards. We set the yards up, we have to put wings on it, which is the big V's that come into the gateway, and that's set up by us. We're probably one of very few, I should say, cattle stations that roll out hessian on wire because it's more transportable, and the continuation of it for a long period of time is if you roll it up on a wire, it's more likely to withstand more rough work than if you just roll. We used to just hang it without wire one time and it was hopeless. You know, you have big sags. From one post to another it'd be a sag, you know, and if a horse sees a sag or any other animal, straight over the top, whereas ours are just rigid all the way through. And also a horse can hit that wire, and quite often it will stop them. They feel it as a solid fence.
Clinton Anderson, world-renowned horseman, has designed one of today's most unique handcrafted saddles. Combining time-worn traditions with the latest innovations in saddle making, Clinton and Martin's Saddlery have created the ultimate Aussie saddle, hand-tooled, double-stitched out of premium leather. It's tree handcrafted from Dakota pine. The perfectly engineered fiberglass seat guarantees a natural fit. Eliminates pressure points. This is a saddle built with real life in mind. It gives a rider unique balance, security, comfort, a strong seat, and a perfect fit. Maximizing performance for you and your horse through coordinated movement, a secure and balanced seat, free range of motion, just as nature intended. Clinton Anderson combines the perfect combination of Aussie and American saddle making. Clinton Anderson Aussie Saddle, made exclusively for Downunder Horsemanship. Call or click to order today, or shop our store at a Clinton Anderson tour event near you.
Downunder Horsemanship's Australian Outback Adventure is brought to you by Ritchie Industries. Fresh water for life.
Okay, we're just waiting on the helicopters to bring them in now, so once the chopper's in front of us, we'll back them up from this end here.
Hey, but Ian!
Hey?
There's horses coming in!
Horses coming in! To help us with mustering, we've used helicopters. Helicopters are an eye in the sky as well as a flying cowboy. And so working all in together with motorcycles, four-wheel drives, or bull catchers as we call them, and helicopters makes the job. Whereas it may have taken you 10 days to do that job, you can do it all in, a morning or 6 or 8 hours.
Mustering brumbies is a very demanding job. It's not something that can be generally successfully done from a ground level. It has its dangers from an aerial point of view as well, with mixed degrees of success. But in saying that, in this part of the world, it's really the only way to do the job. We do a number of brumby musters a year. It's very demanding, quite dangerous. It's high speed, low level, all the things that we don't generally encourage people to do in aircraft.
Righto, Ian, when you called me all the way from Australia, you said that you had a rogue brumby on your hands, a stallion that's causing a lot of problems. What's he been up to, mate?
We've been bloody running around this country for the last 3 weeks looking for the bastard, and every time we get near him, he's gone.
So the job is, we got to somehow track him down and capture him. Yep. You want me to break him in,
yep,
and then we're going to relocate him to another area. Let's see some through there, mate. Get after it. Marini Muster was just crazy. Talk about in the Outback an adventure. That was, to start the day off, that was just pure crazy. I think we're making some bloody good time. Right, get him around there. Get him out. He's over there. Get after him. That's it. He's getting away, Ian. Come on. I'd never been in a situation before where I've been chasing wild animals through the middle of the Outback 1,000,000 miles an hour. It was unbelievable. You know, those horses are so fast and they're so agile. But lucky you got those helicopters around, because those mustering helicopters, those pilots are absolutely crazy. Kamikaze mustering pilots, that's what they are. But they helped us get them in there. You know, it was very exciting.
Originally, mustering was done all on horseback, and in fact, when I was a young man, all mustering was done on horseback. Then all of a sudden, vehicles such as motorcycles were being used, but they were big, heavy motorcycles, and they were very dangerous. If you fell over, quite often you couldn't even lift the damn things back on its wheels again. You know, we were using big motorbikes like AJS's and BMWs and stuff like that. Were very dangerous because they're too heavy to cross a lot of this country. So then all of a sudden, the Japanese produced a lot of lighter motorcycles, which we started to use, and they were very fast on the ground and also very light, but a good, strong person, a good rider could actually handle in the scrub. The one thing that a lot of stockmen realised at that time was they didn't have to have the care of a horse and maintenance on saddles and gear like that. And we've got a lot of motorbike cowboys nowadays, and they love it because they say you ride a motorbike in and you can turn it off, whereas you still got to unsaddle the horse and you've got to look after it afterward. You ride a motorbike in, park it, and you leave it there till next morning. Check the oil and away you go. And since then we've been using also what we call bull catchers. Bull catchers are sawn off short-wheel drive vehicles, four-wheel drives that we use, and the preference in this part of the country is little short wheelbase Toyotas. They seem to be the larger numbers of the vehicles, and also they're very tough vehicle.
Yang four-wheel motorbike nang inan wing like nang kunin le jengnan nan pull catch tribal.
Pull catch don't
You know, when we were in the bull catcher out there in the middle of the scrub, we were just going flat out. And if you didn't do that, you were just going to get left in the dust.
Sometimes I'm on the bull catcher with David driving. Sometimes I'm on the horse or on a motorcycle. You have to trust this man a lot. Well, I trust him a lot. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it since he was a young fella, and that's why he's got a lot of experience with driving a bull catcher. It's pretty rough though.
Everything revolves around fuel with helicopters. They're very inefficient as far as fuel use. So we operate on about a 2-hour time frame. It's critical throughout the muster that the fuel is not too far away. If we've got to leave the muster to go any extent of time away from the coalface, so to speak, then things tend to unfold while you're away from the job. So yeah, it's getting fuel at strategic points is very important. It's very important that we don't get in front of ourselves, so we like to have the fuel behind the muster, particularly with horses. Horses are, once you get them running in one direction, it's quite difficult to get them going back the other direction. So it's very important right from the start that they're all heading in the direction that you want.
Mustering is a bit of both, working and it's fun. Gets you all worked up, adrenaline rush, all of that kind of stuff. It's pretty fun and dangerous.
You told me the other day that he's been fighting with other stallions and he actually killed another one, is that right?
Look, not the first one either. He's been killing bloody horses the whole time.
Yeah. Well, he's just aggressive, territorial.
Yeah, he is. Very aggressive.
Is it the worst one you've ever seen in your lifetime?
Absolutely. We can't even get the bugger in the yard, you know?
Yeah, he's just crafty. You know, those horses are pure adrenaline, pure athletic ability, just galloping through the bushes and the scrub and the outback. It was the most fun I've ever had. Righto, steady up, steady up. There we go.
I've got it now.
Okay, righto, up him. Heading back towards the yards, Ian. There we go.
In some instances, it can be pretty hard on animals, particularly if you've got to drive them a long way. It can stress the animal to some extent. We realise that, but we try and once we've got the animals in the yard, to try and let them have their time so that they can de-stress, and there's always the possibility of losing them, especially wild animals that you've just caught.
I tell you what, that is a lot of friggin' fun. Those damn horses can run. They gallop across that outback territory. When you're in those vehicles, you've got to be right up their butts. You've got to be going as fast as you possibly can. You've got to head them into the yards. As soon as you get to the yards, you've got to jump out, shut the gates before they escape. It's dangerous. You can see why not too many people do this, but I tell you what, it's a hell of a lot of fun. Ian, what about on this one, mate? You see him in here now? What about in this group?
No.
No?
No.
No,
he's not here. He's got an ear missing.
Righto, let's try again. We'll be right back with more from the Australian Outback, presented by Ritchie Industries. Well, Leon, here we are, mate, in the middle of the Outback. And this is the first official Ritchie Waterer to be in Australia in the Outback, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, you know, it just stands to reason that Ritchie Waterers make the very best, toughest, most durable automatic watering system for all livestock. So if any waterer is going to put up with abuse, it's going to be a Ritchie Waterer, and that's what needs to happen here, because in the middle of the Outback here, it's tough. You've seen the horses, you've seen the animals, you've seen the kind of abuse that everything goes on out here. You've got to have a waterer that puts up with it.
Well, we've seen a lot of abuse out here, but we have confidence that this water will hold up.
Yeah.
With its construction, polyethylene plastic with the polyurethane insulation, it's rugged. I still haven't seen an animal out here that's going to tear it up.
This is the exact same waterer that I use on my ranch.
That's
every
correct.
day. Well, Leon, we've talked a lot about Ritchie and what they do for the Outback and the horses. Let's go out and catch some more wild brumbies and get them trained, mate.
Sounds like a plan.
After an exhausting day of mustering at Morini, with high hopes and expectations, I think I see some through there. We were disappointed in our failure to capture the rogue brumby. But I've never been a quitter, mate. So next, we're back for round 2. This time on David's land. And the stakes are even higher than before.
We started off mustering around Morini. What a fantastic time that was, getting those horses in the yards there.
Righto, steady up, there we go.
When you're mustering your own property, we use trap yards where the stock have got to come in, and they go through what we call a bayonet, which is a gate that's like a shape of a V, the arms spread, and then they come back again. When the animal goes through, they can go in, but they can't come back out. So we use that as a trap yard.
I don't the movement in the quick a little cooker. And then cooker got my urban, you know, there's a tanner in Jalpan. Elgap Nagan, I'll meet you. Margot Lagan and Bamba. Good fun.
One of the things that are peculiar to horses is they don't see up. So it's not a lot of use being on top of them a lot of the time. We've got to get down to eye level, which puts us right down on the ground in amongst the trees. As you're aware, horses are quite fast, so we've got to be fast. We're down at ground level, at eye level with the horse. We're doing sometimes 60 or 70 knots to catch up with them. There's a lot of obstacles to avoid. It's a very dangerous part of the muster. And added to that, we have a lot of debris that gets thrown up by the horses as well. We have rocks and all sorts of stuff get kicked up while they're in a gallop. It can be quite dangerous.
We're either stockmen or mustering pilots. Stockmen on the ground, mustering pilots in the sky. The mustering pilots are normally fellas that have had experience on the ground. If you haven't had experience on the ground and you understand cattle or horses or camels or whatever you're mustering, it's always very difficult for an ordinary pilot to understand where his helicopter should be at any given time to be able to drive those animals forward or turn them or bend them, as they say. You need somebody who's had the experience on the ground for anything up to 5 years before they can actually become a mustering pilot. But also the pilot himself has got to be a very bright, smart, agile young man who can just about do anything in that. And you've seen the flights of these guys. They are amazingly dangerous when they're flying. But when you're up there and see them, and even if you're flying with them, it's amazing how safe you feel with these guys with the way that they fly those helicopters. They do all sorts of things that are probably not even in the book, but they are looking after themselves as well. They don't want, most of them have got wives and children, so they want to get home that evening or next day.
The main rotors on the Robinson series are quite fragile. They're very susceptible to foreign object damage. It's our single most important thing when we're mustering that we protect the main rotor and the tail rotor. A lot of our manoeuvres look quite spectacular from the ground, but the manoeuvres are actually there to protect the tail rotor, which is the most susceptible of them all. If we hit a tree with our main rotor, that's 35, 37k down on the job. So, that's a cost we can't pass on. That's our fault. So we don't like to hit trees.
You know, when I was driving around in a Toyota, it was flat out, through the bush and the scrub as fast as you possibly could go. Because if you didn't, you couldn't keep up with them, because these horses are very, very athletic. They are pure adrenaline. When they're running, they're escaping for their lives. So it's important that we get in the right position at the right times. But talk about fun and adventure. I've never had that much fun, that's for damn sure. Now that crazy Ian Conway, I'm telling you what, he is a character. When we were driving that bull catcher through the scrub and the bush in the outback, it was just hang on for dear life. Now, not only did he have no fear about his life or mine, we drove the damn thing into a creek. You know, he thinks that thing is invincible.
Yep, no problems at all. We'll be able to get across here. I'll just put it into four-wheel drive.
Yeah. You're not getting out of this one, are you? I can already tell that. Can you see the angle that we're on right now? What's the wrong with you, Ian? How do you think we're going to get out of this?
Oh, easy, mate. We're in a Toyota.
Righto. Yeah. I hope this Toyota will get us out of this wreck.
Jesus, I think we might be stuck,
You think
mate?
we're stuck? Give it a bit more.
More help?
Right.
I don't know whether we're going to catch these horses, mate. We're going to have to...
Well, we're going to get out of this hole first. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Look at this Toyota now. I don't know why I ever doubted it. Righto, we're driving in.
The Aboriginal stockmen won't ride with me. They call me Danger Man. As well as Danger Man, they often point at the vehicle and they warn people. They say, don't ride in that vehicle, there is proper dangers. And that's the way they speak, with a bit of pidgin English.
Righto, mate. I thought I saw some over there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bugger getting caught up in that creek, but that's the way
but now we're out. Let's get after them. Which direction you think they were going
here?
in?
They're heading northwest now, so we'll have to just move it along a bit.
Righto. We're going to make up some time now. That's it. I see some dust up over there.
Here we go.
Righto. That's it. Damn. We're after him. That's it. He's getting away here.
No, we got him. There he is.
Watch out for the bloody trees, Ian.
I have had an offer of $10,000 by a fellow who worked for Toyota because they wanted to put it in a museum at one stage, and I said it's worth at least 50, and they haven't come up with it yet. So when they come up with it, I might let them have a lend of it for a little while, you know, because as the kids say, we'll have to bury you sitting up in this Toyota because I've had it for 35 years.
Surely, Ian, he's got to be in this group, mate. Check this one. This is getting long and old.
No, he's not amongst this lot. No. Listen here, mate, if you think that muster was wild, you wait until you see what we've got coming up next for you.
Downunder Horsemanship's Australian Outback Adventure is brought to you by Ritchie Industries. Fresh water for life.
I'm in the Australian Outback, trying to capture a deadly rogue brumby. And we're 2 gruesome days of mustering behind us and nothing to show for it. We're back for round 3. Ian chooses a new location on Anselm's property. That's it, he's getting away, Ian. No, we got him, there he is. And this time, all of us are even more determined than ever to capture this rogue.
In this particular muster, because of the amount of area we had to cover, we used 2 choppers for this. And as we get closer to the yards, obviously the helicopters get closer. So we have very clearly defined roles between the 2 helicopters. We have a high level of communication. We work very closely as a team. It's very important that those bonds are there, and we're familiar with each other's roles as well. So we expect a helicopter to behave in a certain way before we need to necessarily communicate that. So it's very important when you're working in close proximity, and you saw how closely we work together.
You try and rig it up so that the helicopter is not wasting any time, because every hour that you use a helicopter, it's costing you money. So we have to have this helicopter come in and do their muster, and quite often they're only there for the day. Sometimes you might hire them for 2 days, and you might hire one chopper, you might hire 2 choppers, depending on what you've got to do. If you're doing horses, you always do 2 choppers because of the speed of the horses. You need to have that eye in the sky and that cowboy in the sky, because the country is so rough that you can't possibly keep up with horses on bull catches or in bull catches and on motorcycles. And usually the push of the horses is the last kilometre, maybe 2 kilometres, to get them into the yard with the other vehicles that you got on the ground. So it's a very, very difficult job. A lot of speed, a lot of excitement. No, there's the possibility of accidents and somebody getting hurt all the time, like being kicked or, run over by some bloke that hasn't got brakes in his Toyota or whatever it might be.
Those mustering pilots were absolutely crazy. Talk about kamikaze. They have no fear of anything. I think they should, but they don't. They are so agile in those helicopters, how they stop and turn and go back the other way, but they had to be like that because those wild horses, wild bulls, wild camels, they are absolute athletic animals. When they're running out through the outback, if you don't go flat out after them, you will not keep up with them and you won't capture them.
The little risks that they take look absolutely amazing to people on the ground, but at the same time, these guys are doing what they have always done. They understand the chopper right to the finest point of, almost no return. And these guys are just amazing, and they never cease to amaze us. We work with them all the time, and I suppose without them we wouldn't be able to manage a lot of these feral animals in the country without those blokes nowadays.
Timpi nagal kerja station maaf nam pijma nagal war kerja nak mai lang nanda kada kada men pijak start nangat kamera laga ni oner jar nanda kada men pijak wala nak mara nanda nang war kerja mer nang nang lijak ilang.
During the muster, we also came across some feral camels. Ian decided to capture a few of them to take back to Kings Creek Station.
Camels are a very difficult animal to try and catch because they live in the open country around Central Australia, and you can't just go out and hope to catch them willy-nilly. It's a very difficult job catching camels because you've got to find them, you've got to muster them up, you've got to put them in the yards, and you've got to transport them. And it's not like transporting any other animal because they're so big. Some of the bull camels tower over to, 2.5 metres high, and they weigh in at anywhere between 600 and 1,200 kilos, so they're a very big animal.
Crashes are an inevitable part of the job. We try and minimise it as much as possible. Crashes is probably a heavy word. Incidents are probably a better description. We can have anything from rocks going through the rotor blades, damaging the rotors. And if that's in the case of a tail rotor, yes, it's you're on the ground and that's where you stay. Collisions with trees, minor collisions with trees are quite common. Hitting the trees with our main rotor blades, with our skids. Touch wood, we haven't lost any choppers. We haven't had any fatals chasing horses yet, and we'd like to keep it that way. We like older guys, particularly with horse mustering. The older pilots are a bit more settled. Their egos don't tend to get in the way. They've been tried and tested before, so we don't feel as though we have to prove anything to anyone. If we lose the horses, we lose them, and we'll just go back and get another bunch. And it's not the end of the world. But what is the end of the world if you kill yourself doing it? So there's always more horses to go and get.
You're not going to get away now. Righto, you got him. Got him now.
I got him.
Righto, head him back to the yards. Yeah, I think he knows we got him. That's it. That's it. Get after it there.
He's in the yard.
Yeah, get around him. That's it. Get around him there. Go circle him up. Hang on, my door is shut. Circle him up around here. That's it. After capturing the first slot, we still didn't have him. Righto, we got to go around this one. So we went back out to make sure we caught the right Brumby. Get him going in. Once and for all. That direction. We got him now.
Bloody rocks going through there.
Get everywhere. Bloody hell, it's a bit rough now, mate. Slow up, slow up. No,
He hasn't slowed down at all.
I tell you what, they're pretty bloody fit, these Brumbies.
Bloody hell. I think we've got the bugger now.
Now we got him.
We got him.
The chopper's brought in a few extra with him.
Holy cow.
Hang on, big fella.
Whoa,
Hang on, big fella. Righto, good driving, Ian.
We got the bugger, I think, this
I
time.
think he's done now. We're getting him in. Right now, we're heading up to the mouth of the trap. That's it. Once we get him past this mouth of the trap, I think we're home.
He's in. He's in.
I think we got him now. Now the corner. That's it.
We got him.
Down through it. Come on, hey, put on the siren. Come on. We got him. Let me get out. I'm gonna get the gate. Pull up in. Right, I got it. What about this mob, Ian? Have a look through. This is a much bigger group. You see him?
Yep, there he is. He's behind
Which
that
one?
bay horse just there. The one with the ear missing on the offside. See him behind that horse there? Yep.
Yeah. You sure that's him?
That's him.
Righto.
Yep, that's
We
the bugger.
finally got him.
Yep.
Let's keep him in. Righto, we got him.
We got him.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Good on you, fellas.
Hi, I'm with Ritchie Industries. I'm here to tell you today about a product that we're adding to our stall fount line. It's a corner mount product designed similar to our line of Omni founts and Eco founts. Similar in design that it has a stainless steel trough with a poly insulated base. The units can be heated or non-heated. The heated units have a 125 watt heater and a thermostat that you can adjust to raise or lower your temperature in the trough. The units are designed very safe. Your animals can't really chew on it or rub on it or scratch on it. The lid comes off with just a quarter turn and snaps. You can hear it snap. Open your lid up, float like we have all the other units. Simple little wing nut to adjust the level of the water. There's a plug for draining, very simple again. Swish the water around, rub the edges down, pull the plug, drains out the bottom. Put the lid back on, again just line it up, quarter turn, snap right in place. Down below here we have our shroud for the unit. It's designed to cover the water line coming up through the ground. In addition to the shroud, we've designed a step in to place your bucket.
The people who are using these waterers really like the look of it. They like how durable they are, and they like that they're very easy to clean.
Find out more about our stall fount 2 or any other Ritchie products. Go to ritchiefount.com or ritchieequine.com.
Ian, we've got a pen full of horses here, mate. The one that we're looking for, is it in here or not, mate?
Yeah, I'll just get David to move him around a little bit. Move him around a bit, David. This is the mongrel that's been... here he is, this bugger here with the missing ear.
That
See
one
him?
there with the missing ear?
That's him. He's the one that's been giving these other horses a pizzling the whole time.
This paint horse here, all these bite marks all over him, that's from that other one
That's
attacking
from that bugger, and it's quite often... He's killed a few horses by kicking them.
Right. He got that missing ear from just fighting with other studs?
That's what he did. Yeah, he's a cheeky old bugger. And look at him.
How old... You've known this horse for a while now. How old do you think he is?
Oh, I'd say he's about 10-year-old. He's been a real pain in the arse the whole time. He's been disturbing the whole herds of Brumbies and other quiet horses as well out in this part of the world.
And this is the first time you've ever got him trapped?
First time we've ever had him in the
How many times
yard.
have you tried to capture him before?
Oh, just about every muster that we've been running. I've lost count. You know, there's been trying to get him in, gets up to the yards and then he's out again, so you can never get the bugger.
So what's your goal for this horse, mate? What do you want me to do?
you know, we brought you out here for a specific goal, and that's to make sure that this horse is broken in to a standard that we could ride children out on his back.
So you want to get, basically you want him broken in, you want him quiet, and you want him off the range where he's not causing the havoc.
Absolutely.
Right, mate. I think I can get that job done. He's got a bit of fire in him.
He has got a lot of fire in him, so, you know, and don't stuff up.
No, okay, mate. I won't stuff it up, I promise you. Right, well, I'm just glad we got him in the yards, Ian.
Yep.
We never would have got this stallion captured without all of the assistance from the Aboriginal trackers to Ian's people to the professional helicopter pilots, you know. And this challenge, I made it real clear to Ian, we have to have every hired gun that knows what they're doing. And because we had it all put together, we captured him. Well, Ian, I'm finally glad we got this thing in. It's been causing you and the property owners a lot of problems around here, hasn't it?
Sure has. It's been a bugger of a horse. We've tried so hard to try and convince him to come into the yards on many occasions. One of the things I did talk to a couple of the blokes about was, do you think it'd be worth breaking in? And a couple of them said, no, it'd be too bloody hard. So, you know, it's up to you.
15,000 pounds of frightened, raw aggression suddenly charged the fence to escape and have broken through the yard.
I know that bloody gate's open! What up? Don't let him out! What the is going on? That's bull! How are we going to get him now?
After all this time...
We've been out here for 3 days looking for this thing.
You blokes, we're going to have to get out there and track him from now on. What happened at the very end was we lost that horse. He went clean through the rail. The men were there, but they were just too far removed from where the horse was, and we lost the bugger.
What are we going to do now?
Well, there's only one thing. These blokes are fantastic trackers. They're the best trackers in the country.
To say it was disappointing when the stallion got loose was an understatement, okay? It was very, very upsetting to me. I felt like the whole trip was over. So how, like, seriously, are we going to get him back in the yards or not?
Oh, bloody hell. These blokes will track him up. It might take a couple of days to do it, but no problems. They'll track him.
It took us a lot to get him captured, and I'm thinking, okay, now that we finally got him captured, how are we going to pull this off again? Because it wasn't the first time Ian had tried to capture this horse. I tell you what, this has been a big pain in the ass. The only thing we're going to do now is to just go track it. The challenge is on now. We're going to have to take a couple of Aboriginal trackers out with me. They're going to have to show me how they do it and help direct me, and we're just going to have to get this thing trapped again. Anyway, we'll get it done, and we got no choice. That's simple as it gets. My passion for horsemanship has taken me to the furthest regions of the Australian outback in order to catch a deadly rogue Brumby, putting my life at risk to restore order and safety for Ian and those who live in this area. And on next week's show, we'll be attempting to recapture this wild horse.
Downunder Horsemanship's Australian Outback Adventure has been brought to you by Ritchie Industries. Fresh water for life.
I've travelled to the Australian Outback to capture a rogue Brumby, encountering deadly challenges along the way, and now, after catching him once, we've got to track him down again. Some might say it's never going to happen, but once I'm on a mission, I never turn back, mate. You know, Leon, these wild Brumbies can be in travelling for 20 miles a day in search of water, mate. Well, what do you know? We must have gone 20 miles, mate. He's a Ritchie waterer. Thank God we come across one in the Outback, that's for sure.
Awesome.
Leon, we've been out here in the middle of the Outback for hours, mate.
What time is it anyway?
It's 2 o'clock. When's that plumber supposed to be showing up?
I don't know. If he doesn't show up pretty quick, we're going to break into that cooler again.
I guarantee we're going to get a Bundaberg and rum out of that if we're going to wait for the plumber.